Hey everybody, so I have a special announcement before we start the review. I want to say that thank you so much for watching. Obviously, there's keep watching this channel. It's really I've been doing the channel's been doing great here. I have a new show on my main YouTube channel called Just My Thoughts. It's kind of like a podcast where I talk about YouTube. It's gonna be on Facebook Live, so at 10:30 Central Time, almost every Monday, and the first episode will be next week. So the first two links in the description, or that'll be my Facebook Live. So that'll take you to my Facebook Live, and the second one is that'll take you to my main YouTube channel. And if you subscribe and turn on notifications over there, you'll be able to see the pre-recorded version of the episode there. So next Monday I'll go live on Facebook. So if you guys are interested in learning more about YouTube and a little bit more about me and all these things, the introduction episode will be out next week. Now let's get straight to the review. There's a lot of things that happened in this episode, so let's just jump into it. After this one, it's like just 5 more episodes of the entire series. We see the Grace and Anissa return from their honeymoon, and they also Anissa told the family already, so Grace got surprised from them, which is nice enough. But for some reason, some guy knocks on Jefferson's door, and he's just at a word to search his house because he's accused of embezzling money from Garfield, and one that Tobias behind all that. So that's something to keep in mind for. So Lynn and Jefferson, they talk about there's a possibility that Belle could be responsible for killing the mayor, but turns out we don't know that till later. The daddy of the person who killed the mayor is later in this episode. And so right now, Lynn and Jefferson, they talk to each other about Lynn's sobriety, and Jefferson apologizes to Lynn for how he treated her because of that, and she accepts his apology. Lynn tells Jefferson that Jeff and Jennifer are becoming their old selves, which is a good thing to say. It's like they're being more closer together in some way, and that they are getting used to each other being around. So even though there's a possibility that Jefferson still doesn't really feel that that's Jennifer, it seems that apparently to everyone else, it feels like it's coming back in place for them. In Sean's room, we see that Jennifer and Anissa, they talk about how they have to get used to the world as Jennifer being the new Jennifer, and all these things that happen with their father and all these things. So they have to and how the city is pointing fingers against them. So they Anissa and Jennifer, they talk about the bright side of things. They try to put a positive mindset on how those two all when it comes to them and freelance. One of the FBI agents had a camera, and Tobias saw the FBI going through Jefferson's house. So and on the earth, and then this guy who works for Tobias, his name is Red. He tells him that the Monovista is delaying delivery on their product. So that's something that Tobias is upset about. He wants to he feels that there should be any delays and things like that. Turns out the stuff that the Monovista still be delivering is the middle from the low end is working on. So apparently Tobias knows of that, so he's waiting. He's upset that things are being delayed. It's just kind of weird how Tobias knows what the middle is, how, and Tobias talk to each other about Lynn, and that he understands that Lynn is really outstandingly smart, and she leaves no stone unturned. And one day Tobias said she has no idea. I'm not 100% sure what he means by that. So your guess goes mine. So Jefferson and Jennifer, they talk about Jennifer going to school, and I feel like, and then TC walks in and his energy brights up the mood for them, especially Jennifer. So I like having TC in this episode, and the scene he really brights up it's really enjoyable to watch because of Lynn being sober. She needs Gambi to be the new. She needs to test the valves. She needs to inject something within Gambi, which is basically valve's power. So he, without hesitation, Gambi volunteers, and nothing really happens. But it's nice to know that Gambi is wanting to help Lynn out. This character is really great. He wants to help Lynn, just like that. So it's very nice to see a character like that. So the former teacher tells Jefferson about how Tobias came to his house and which is owned by Jefferson's dad, who is no longer with him. So basically, the house is being for sale, and he has keys to the new house because Tobias made that happen with a developer, and Jefferson is a little angry within that because Tobias wants to get rid of his dad's house to build a hospital. So is that what above the 18 blocks Tobias was talking about? So I figured so because I feel like obviously the hospital is not gonna be 18 blocks, but it's gonna be part of it. So and that particular house location will be place by hospital. So Jefferson is trying to get to the bottom of this on top of the whole embezzlement stuff, and I'm trying to figure out who killed the mayor and all these things in Freeland. So the teacher's right, Jefferson has a lot on his plate. Off screen, Jennifer tells her classmates what happened to Jennifer. So she tells them that she studied abroad. So that's one excuse for this. Jennifer and Jefferson, they spoke about how the fact that if anyone asked, that JJ is part of Jennifer's mom's side of the family. So that's something that at least they have a good plot. They have a story that made sense. But I'm surprised that they didn't. That the teachers, and there's not one scene with the teachers and JJ. So talking about her daddy. So I wish they would have covered that, but covered something like that. But overall, it makes sense. There are these two students. One of them is talking about how he's just assuming that Jefferson is embezzling money from Garfield, and another one who says that he's nobody. He tells this guy that he's just being an online activist for clout, and stuff, something that he doesn't like, and he says that he tells him that he's nobody, but he still feels that what the dude's doing with blaming Jefferson is wrong, and JJ and the guy who says that he's nobody talk to each other, and him and JJ get along really well. So then later on we see that back home after school, JJ comes home, talks to Jefferson about the house and everything going on, and then she calls him daddies. That's something that she that's something Jefferson hasn't heard in a really long time. Is that he hasn't heard his daughter call him daddy. So that's something that he's really that's a good moment for them. So that's something that's very nice to see. And they also talk about the stuff that happened in school where everybody was against him except one person. So that's something that Jefferson is in knowledge of. Is that he sees that the students feel certain ways about him. Back in the clinic, Anissa and her friend Tobias talks about how there's the Monovista to be isolating chromosome 7 when the patients, particularly the patients who are pregnant. So I'm not 100% sure what he means, but I feel like that's a good thing for them. But I feel like that's something Tobias is doing. Back in Monovista, Lynn and Gambi they told about how they tried to power the metal, but it doesn't work at first, and then it eventually does work, and then Gambi sets the alarm up, and she tries to stop the alarm by going to another room, and then Gambi has this contact lens that stands his eye, so he didn't go inside the room and swap perfume or something else that he brought in, so that's something that is really smart he's doing, and he got away with it too, just in that of time, so that's really nice to see. So basically, I think what is happening there is that Gambi's trying to figure out what else two things to happen. One, he's trying to stop the emitter from fully working, or two, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and by doing so, him stopping the premium of something else should even more delay the shipment that Tobias is waiting for with the emitter. So either way, I feel like Gambi has to figure out what's going on with that. So the guy who, if you guys remember, Destiny hired this guy who from saving her from Lala, and then he's back and he kills one of the resistance, so because he's trying to figure out where Blackbird is, and they eventually meet up and they see each other in the hospital, and Anissa and Grace is there because they're trying to figure out more about the Monovista isolating the chromosome 7, so or something along the lines of that. So what they end up with is that they end up finding each other because the dude basically fights Blackbird and Grace. So while they're in the hospital, then Grace turns into a tiger and tries to stop the dude because he's thrashed up. And this is led mostly, so he runs away. So it's something to figure out why he's there. I feel like he's just, and then he noticed that he's noticed down that his head that Grace is shapeshifter, so that's something to be mindful of. He's to be prepared for Grace, and next time later on we see that Grace and JJ they talk to each other about how they are going through things and how much they need each other, and also that there's a possibility that JJ has a crush on the dude who stood up for her dad, so that's something that is really what we see through Grace can read body languages from shapeshifters, so in some way, because technically speaking, Jennifer shapeshifted to another person, so Grace can read the body language from her. So we see that TC is trying to talk to his computers, but some reason it doesn't work, and also Jefferson's powers don't work, and also Gambi and Lynn they figure out that when Gambi digested with Val's meta serum thing, basically what happens is that they learn that Val is a no filler. Basically what that means is she stops Val can stop other meta-humans from using the powers, so it's kind of like a meta-power blocker in some way. So JJ has a back in school, she has a musical class that how to play instruments, and that class gets cut from the school, so she wants to figure out how to raise money for the school, but we don't know what that is in this episode, which I really felt like they should have at least hinted us on what's to come with that. So we see that back in the lab, we see that Lynn is trying to figure out what's going on with Val's powers and how he seems, but also Lynn is also trying to figure out what's going on with Jennifer, so she sees on her tablet that her partial stability is uncertain, and her levels is higher than usual, so she's a little concerned and tries to call Jefferson, but immediately hates up, but then Jefferson calls her back and she tells him something completely different. She tells him about Val, so that's something that I wish he would explain to Jennifer a little bit more about. However, I feel like Jennifer and Jefferson were always sounded closer, so it makes sense why Lynn didn't want to mention that to Jefferson, but I feel like it will only make things a little bit worse, so who knows with that. But overall, I feel like that was a good call for Lynn not to tell Jefferson right away without being too sure, and especially the fact that we really don't know what that really means. So when it comes to Jennifer, because Jennifer seems fine, basically, so that's something that is interesting. Is why the tablet says that Jennifer is unstable. Her stability is uncertain. We see that Tobias is talking to Freeland over TV and talks about he's the rebuild Freeland, and also the teacher is also by his side, so that's really unexpected. But I feel like that's all above Tobias' plan. Also the fact that they learned that is the guy who's working for Tobias, he's the one who killed Mel Black, because he's the one who's able to levitate a bullet, so that makes sense why so all the puzzles are coming together that way. Unexpectedly, we see that TC is talking to Khalil through the computer, and it's a little unexpected. I feel like it seems like they were talking to how long have they spoke to each other, and why now, and all these things. So I don't know why they're doing so, but overall it feels like it was a little unexpected. So anyways, we see that TC tells Khalil about what's going on with Jefferson, and he tells him that Jennifer is not doing so good. So hopefully, I don't know, I wish he didn't say that, but because I feel like there's a possibility that Khalil might be motivated to see Jennifer, even though we know that that's not a good idea, because Khalil's mission is to get rid of the Pierce family. So, and also the fact that there's a possibility that he could go after her anyways, because of her scent, the way he can sense her, but it's a matter of she's in different form or not. I feel like it'll still be that way with Khalil and Jennifer. Well enough from back then that Khalil used to work for Tobias, so he tells TC that he's willing to help out, trying to figure out how Tobias is doing this to Jefferson when it comes to the embezzlement. So he wants to help out, but TC says no, we died, so he steps back from that. So there's a possibility that eventually he might help out. So even though it sounds predictable, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that it's a bad thing if Khalil gets hurt, or gets anyone in the Pierce family hurt. So that's something to be mindful of. And also back in the headquarters, we see that Anissa and Grace are talking to Gambi about what they've been through in the hospital, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and the episode ends from there. So there's a lot that happened in this episode. We didn't see much of Tobias, to be honest, and we didn't see too much of Lynn, especially with the stuff that Lynn's looking on, the research that Lynn is doing with Val, and also the stuff with Jennifer was kind of out of nowhere, to be honest. But at least we did see what's going on with Jennifer, and also what's the particular thing that Tobias is planning on Jefferson, and hopefully they explain. Hopefully we get confirmation that the hospital is part of the 18 blocks Tobias wants to get hold of, to have on Freeland. I really like the stuff that Gambi did with swapping the emitter with something else. Hopefully we can see what he does with that, and who knows if he's gonna swap it back. So overall, I really like this episode. A lot of things happened in this episode, and still made sense. A lot of things, it mostly made sense. And who knows what those two students are going to do, or they'll talk to each other again when it comes to one of them accusing Jefferson of embezzling money, and the other one trying to stop it. Who knows what's going to happen there. Oh well, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much for watching. And subscribe right there, and here's the playlist of videos you can watch right there.